Welcome into this week in Missouri Politics, election night in Missouri. Sorry for the delay. John was finishing his dinner. John Combest, thank you so much for
Thank you for
joining
having
us.
me, Scott.
So election night, let's do a quick rundown here. We're going to be bringing you just shortly United States Senator Eric Schmidt live from Mar-a-Lago, as well as the president of rural Missouri, Garrett Hawkins. But first, U.S. Senate race. Let's just go down the key questions here. Does Kuntz tighten that to a single-digit race?
I don't think so. I think Hawley's margin is at least 10 points tonight.
Kehoe, no one was beating Mike Kehoe.
Not this year, not at all.
But there's Crystal Quaid, who I think was wonderful fodder for JohnCombest.com memes. I do think she's going to finish better than Nicole Galloway finished 4 years ago, which was 40%.
I think it'll be really close. I think in some ways Amendment 3 helps her, but I also think Trump's strength here might negate that a little.
That's true. Down ballot, Vivek Malik wins.
Absolutely.
Andrew Bailey wins. Yep. Denny Hoskins, David Wassinger. Is there any of those you think that is more than 3 or 4 points ahead of the rest?
I don't think so. I think there's going to be a lot of parity in the Republican margins.
Yeah, feel that. There's two Supreme Court judges retention, Judge Ginger Gooch and Judge Kelly Broniak. There's been some talk, but I don't think either of them. I think they're both going to stay on the Supreme Court with healthy margins.
You're absolutely right. Scott, you've made the analogy before that elections are not held on Twitter. Well, Supreme Court elections are not held on TikTok. And both these judges will get reelected.
All right, I am told we now have United States Senator Eric Schmidt with us. He's having there's a little bit of Mar-a-Lago, I think, cell phone interference there. I would say there's a few people trying to broadcast out of Mar-a-Lago tonight.
I think so.
But it's cool to have the senior United States Senator from the great state of Missouri join us. And I think we have him right now. There he is, Eric Schmidt. Welcome to election night in Missouri.
I'm glad to be with you guys.
I think it makes me feel better that they even have technical difficulties at Mar-a-Lago.
Absolutely. And you know, Eric Schmidt is fresh off that tour all around the swing states, revving up the crowd in Milwaukee, getting folks pumped, talking not about himself, but about Donald Trump.
I tell you,
guys, I can't hear you.
This is a homer. So I think we can hear you if you shout.
Okay. Yeah, and soon the people that knocked down those buildings will from all of us soon, right? That was
What's the energy like at Mar-a-Lago?
So things have been, people are excited. I think the energy, so I was with him this weekend on the plane. We were doing the fly around, and he was in good spirits. The polling all looked really solid. I think people still feel pretty good about that. You're starting to hear, it's still anecdotal to some degree, but the turnout numbers seem to be good. So there's starting to be a buzz generated. I just got back to the convention center here, where where all the stuff's going to be happening. So there's a Mar-a-Lago thing. The convention thing is now set up. So people feel pretty good, honestly. You're at this point in the evening. You guys have done this before. You don't really know yet, but it's just been a lot of fun, and people are excited.
Senator, you've gotten to spend a great deal of time with President Trump as well as J.D. Vance. What are some of the things about the personality characteristics of the president or of J.D. Vance that you think people don't see that you see behind the scenes?
So first of all, with President Trump, he's got a great sense of humor. So when you're on that plane, also the energy, it's pretty remarkable. I flew down to Arizona. He was doing an event with Tucker Carlson. It was his third event. We did 2 or 3 more on Friday. He does that every single day. He ended up yesterday at 2:30 in the morning. I've been around high energy people in my life. I'm not sure I've ever seen anything like this. And also the ability to pack those rooms like that. There's a celebrity status, but he's also super entertaining. So when you're around him, he's authentic. We were on the plane coming back from Butler when I was weeks ago, and literally there's McDonald's on the plane. He's eating like a fillet of fish, right? That's actually real. And then with Vance, we came into the Senate together. We've gotten to be really close friends. You go to dinner, you share that life experience with somebody like that. There's just not many people that you can relate to. It's the first time I've been in D.C. like that. Same for him. So I think for J.D., Combest, you know this, North County guys. Scott, you can relate, working class background. That's his life. He came from, very humble beginnings.
Humble beginnings, Have you himself in Mar-a-Lago?
Reaction because that's the guy and you can watch the football game with and have a beer. He's like a normal. So, he's really smart, and so I see age people were kind of introduced first time. I was just happy that more people got to saw, my friend who's incredibly smart, a good sense of timing. He's humorous too. So anyway, it was a great pick when he picked him. I knew it, and I'm glad the rest of the country's seen that too.
I vividly remember 8 years ago, I got to watch them call Donald Trump as the next president of the United States with you and Ted Powers, I believe. How late is the Trump team think it'll take before they can call this election tonight?
Yeah, I remember that. We had the camo Bush lights there. Andy Bankman was with us for a little bit. I think it was pretty late. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess everybody's expecting it could be a late night. But I don't think we're really going to know that. You'll start to see Wisconsin, they report relatively early. I think some of those swing counties in Pennsylvania, in my view, this whole thing comes down to Pennsylvania. So the more we know about those battleground states, the sooner it could get wrapped up. I think if it's going to be an early night, it's a good Trump night.
Yeah.
I don't see how Harris has an early night, right? So I don't know. I mean, I think people are prepared to be here late night, but hopefully it doesn't take that long. Plus, I think the Sun Belt Coalition, places like Nevada and Arizona, people feel really good about. Those are going to report later. So all these numbers could be kind of shored up, and then you're waiting for, Pennsylvania is kind of the linchpin, and we'll probably know about Wisconsin. The one thing to look for probably is if the numbers are really good in Wisconsin, that probably bodes well for Pennsylvania, maybe even Michigan. So, hey guys, I got to hop off now.
Thank you so much for calling in.
I
Tell Ivanka Combest said hi.
You guys do.
Tiffany.
Oh, Tiffany, that's
All
probably.
right, man. See you guys.
Thank you very much. That was United States Senator Eric Schmidt. All right, that was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they've invited him down there, maybe every U.S. senator gets invited, but I think there is a special relation between Trump and Schmidt.
It seems that way, and after the election, if Donald Trump is successful, the number one question Eric Schmidt's going to get is, what position do you want in the Trump administration?
Hopefully it's United States Senator from the great state
I
of
hope
Missouri.
so.
Why don't we take a break? We'll be right back with the president of rural Missouri, Garrett Hawkins, after this. Thank you to tonight's sponsors of Election Night in Missouri. Preuss Foster, United Fiber, the Missouri Soybean Association, and Sun Solar. And thank you for joining us on this very historic Election Night in Missouri.
Election Night in Missouri will return after these messages.
St. Louis Carpenters Union has shaped our communities. Through trusted alliances, we deliver skilled professional craftspeople while our business partners provide the kind of quality jobs that keep our economy humming. It's a blueprint that has worked since 1882. Turning Missouri into a right-to-work state stalls progress, wipes out jobs, and kills momentum. Right to work is wrong for everyone. Let's keep Missouri moving forward. Visit carpdc.org to learn more.
Missouri farmers have been doing what's best for their land for generations. After all, no one knows what it takes to feed and fuel a growing global population better than they do. So why are trial lawyers threatening Missouri farmers' best defense against weeds? Our farmers don't need to be controlled. They need to be supported. Keep glyphosate in our state. Show your support at TakeControlMissouri.com. Paid for by Modern Ag Alliance in support of Missouri farmers.
Data captured by our state-of-the-art monitors helps us pinpoint the timing and location of severe weather more accurately and respond to trouble more quickly. Ameren Missouri's investment in smart technologies like this is one way we're improving reliability and restoring power faster than ever. Responding to trouble before trouble hits. That's energy at work.
Some politicians claim cockfighting is a proud tradition, but is it really something to be proud of? Cockfighting isn't just cruel to animals, it's cruel to humans. It's linked to organized criminal activity, illegal gambling, even drug trafficking. Leading law enforcement and Christian groups have spoken out and are urging a stop to the violence. But some politicians want to give cockfighters a pass. Keep cockfighting out of our state.
So
I'm going to tell you, it's a pretty good night. It's a pretty good night when you've got, let's walk through them. Josh Hawley, looks like he's on the way to a win. Mike Kehoe, no one's beating Mike Kehoe, but I vividly remember the Farm Bureau did endorse in primaries. You came out for Mike Kehoe. He carried the day. Now he's on the way to win. All up and down the ballot, you've got Andrew Bailey, all folks that are around that support Missouri agriculture and rural Missouri. Your state Senate candidates: Mike Henderson, Curtis Gregory, Jamie Berger, Jason Bean. We forget about Bean because his race was too easy.
I know, but
yeah, somebody should have made him work a little harder. But it's a good night to be the president of the Missouri Farm Bureau, right?
I just couldn't be more proud of our members, Scott. When you think about, again, it comes back to who are we? We're a grassroots organization, a footprint in every county, members in every county who are engaged. And honestly, I could not be more proud of the work that they put into showing that grassroots still matter. And when you think about candidates like Mike Kehoe, who traveled this state, our members showed up time and time again to show support and brought family and friends with them. And at a time when people like to say that money drives everything, I like to get back to the basics, and our people know how to do retail politics and get out there and support their candidates, talk to their family, friends, and neighbors, and help drive those discussions.
Garrett, it's a big night for Farm Bureau with all of your victories following up on those primary victories. But when you look forward to the next legislative session, frankly, in the last session, some of your priorities at the last minute, due to some Senate shenanigans, were pushed to the side. As you look at really important legislation, maybe like controlling weeds, having farmers be able to have these tools, when you look at the Missouri Senate, do you think there might be more cooperation this year, or do you look at a hard road to hoe?
No, I'm going to be optimistic, and I really do. With Mike Kehoe as governor, when that's declared tonight, at least the feeling is good. You're going to see someone that really shows an even more of a want to try to get back to a functioning Missouri government that's here to serve the people, right? And so you talk about crop protection. Yeah, we've got a tremendous opportunity in Missouri to address an issue when you think about next session. But I'd also say, you look at the regulatory overreach in Washington, D.C., in which all crop protection products are under attack. And we've got to have a change from that standpoint. So I think Missouri still has a tremendous opportunity to build on Governor Parson and his administration's accomplishments to continue to position Missouri as a bastion of common sense that is the place to live, work, and serve. And that's what gets me excited. That's what excites me to work with our fellow Farm Bureau members every day.
So, when you look at these majorities, and it looks like Republicans are going to be at supermajorities or right at it. They love, the suburb folks and the urban Republicans love to tell you. They get their Starbucks and they drive a little Prius, and they love to say the Republicans have a supermajority. However, sometimes I think our skinny friends in the city forget that the supermajority of that supermajority is of rural Republicans. Do you think we should demand more? I really do believe things like common sense things like allowing Farm Bureau to offer health plans to rural Missouri in places that you really can't get one. Those kind of things are scoffed at by city people, but maybe it's time that rural folks scoff at some of their things. I mean, I don't care about noise barriers or bike lanes.
My team hears me talk about rural justice, and
I like that.
The reality is, I think when I think about the urban cores of this state and rural areas, we have so much in common, guys, in terms of just we want access to jobs. We need government out of the way in some respects. We need our private property rights protected. And that's where there's so much more in common than we have that really drives us apart. And, when it comes to health plans, Scott, I couldn't be more adamant that this is a donut hole that the government created in Washington, D.C. No one's stepping up to fix it, but guess what? In 10 states, Farm Bureau has.
The leaders of the Missouri Senate have essentially said the way to get things passed is to shut the place down, to throw a fit. They'll even help fund your campaign. Is it not time that we just say, instead of always us being the statesman, always us being nice, maybe it's time we just shut the place down until you give a damn about rural Missouri?
I don't disagree.
I like this. We got a fired up Garrett. When the endorsements hit as well as yours did, you can be this way. Let me ask you one question before you go. I know
you cut me off there. Okay, go ahead.
You got I know many people pulling at you tonight. Donald Trump has a very special relationship with rural Missouri.
He does.
Tell me why, Guy. It does seem on the surface a little odd that a billionaire that's always wearing a big red tie from New York City, of all places, guys in Worth County, guys in Oregon County, Stoddard County, he could be elected emperor of Southeast Missouri. Explain the special connection Donald Trump has to rural Missouri.
What he did in 2015 and 2016 was spoke to people who felt like they had been left behind for years. I think about my town of Appleton City, and you replicate that across not just Missouri, but across the Rust Belt and elsewhere. When the farm economy tanked in the 80s, Mom went back to work in a clothing manufacturing plant in Appleton City, a town of 1,100, where they made aprons and smocks for Tyson Foods. Those jobs are gone, and you repeat that all across the country. When Donald Trump stepped forth in 2015 and actually spoke to those who felt like they had been left behind to talk about improving trade agreements to address some of these long-standing issues, when he talked about getting government off our backs, that's what resonated with people in Missouri and across the country. So when people talk about the Donald Trump of today, you know, what I hear from people is a passion for the policies that are good for all Americans, that create jobs, get government off of our backs, and recognize that we've got to get back to taking care of the fundamentals in this country. That's a national energy policy, that's national security, and taking care of each other.
I like it. Garrett Hawkins, president of Missouri Farm Bureau, the president of rural Missouri. Thank you so much for making time on a very busy election night to join us.
You guys got me wound up. I appreciate it. It's good to be with the dynamic duo.
Thank you so much. We'll be right back. We're going to bring in a few more. I think it'll be time to call a couple races, and we'll bring in David Barklage after this. Thank you to tonight's sponsors of election night in Missouri: Preuss Foster, United Fiber, the Missouri Soybean Association, and Sun Solar. And thank you for joining us on this very historic election night in Missouri.
Election night in Missouri will return after these messages.
St. Louis Carpenters Union has shaped our communities. Through trusted alliances, we deliver skilled professional craftspeople while our business partners provide the kind of quality jobs that keep our economy humming. It's a blueprint that has worked since 1882. Turning Missouri into a right-to-work state stalls progress, wipes out jobs, and kills momentum. Right to work is wrong for everyone. Let's keep Missouri moving forward. Visit carpdc.org to learn more.
You know, Missouri farmers have been doing what's best for their land for generations. After all, no one knows what it takes to feed and fuel a growing global population better than they do. So why are trial lawyers threatening Missouri farmers' best defense against weeds? Our farmers don't need to be controlled. They need to be supported. Keep glyphosate in our state. Show your support at TakeControlMissouri.com. Paid for by Modern Ag Alliance in support of Missouri farmers.
Data captured by our state-of-the-art monitors helps us pinpoint the timing and location of severe weather more accurately and respond to trouble more quickly. Ameren Missouri's investment in smart technologies like this is one way we're improving reliability and restoring power faster than ever. Responding to trouble before trouble hits. That's energy at work.
Some politicians claim cockfighting is a proud tradition, but is it really something to be proud of? Cockfighting isn't just cruel to animals, it's cruel to humans. It's linked to organized criminal activity, illegal gambling, even drug trafficking. Leading law enforcement and Christian groups have spoken out and are urging a stop to the violence. But some politicians want to give cockfighters a pass. Keep cockfighting out of our state.
Thank you to tonight's sponsors of election night in Missouri: Preuss Foster, United Fiber, the Missouri Soybean Association, and Sun Solar. And thank you for joining us on this very historic election night in Missouri.
Election night in Missouri will return after these messages.
St. Louis Carpenters Union has shaped our communities. Through trusted alliances, we deliver skilled professional craftspeople while our business partners provide the kind of quality jobs that keep our economy humming. It's a blueprint that has worked since 1882. Turning Missouri into a right-to-work state stalls progress, wipes out jobs, and kills momentum. Right to work is wrong for everyone. Let's keep Missouri moving forward. Visit carpdc.org to learn more.
You know, Missouri farmers have been doing what's best for their land for generations. After all, no one knows what it takes to feed and fuel a growing global population better than they do. So why are trial lawyers threatening Missouri farmers' best defense against weeds? Our farmers don't need to be controlled. They need to be supported. Keep glyphosate in our state. Show your support at TakeControlMissouri.com. Paid for by Modern Ag Alliance in support of Missouri farmers.
Data captured by our state-of-the-art monitors helps us pinpoint the timing and location of severe weather more accurately and respond to trouble more quickly. Ameren Missouri's investment in smart technologies like this is one way we're improving reliability and restoring power faster than ever. Responding to trouble before trouble hits. That's energy at work.
Some politicians claim cockfighting is a proud tradition, but is it really something to be proud of? Cockfighting isn't just cruel to animals, it's cruel to humans. It's linked to organized criminal activity, illegal gambling, even drug trafficking. Leading law enforcement and Christian groups have spoken out and are urging a stop to the violence. But some politicians want to give cockfighters a pass. Keep cockfighting out of our state.
Thank you to tonight's sponsors of Election Night in Missouri. Preuss Foster, United Fiber, the Missouri Soybean Association, and Sun Solar. And thank you for joining us on this very historic Election Night in Missouri.
Election Night in Missouri will return after these messages.
St. Louis Carpenters Union has shaped our communities. Through trusted alliances, we deliver skilled professional craftspeople while our business partners provide the kind of quality jobs that keep our economy humming. It's a blueprint that has worked since 1882. Turning Missouri into a right-to-work state stalls progress, wipes out jobs, and kills momentum. Right to work is wrong for everyone. Let's keep Missouri moving forward.
Let's talk about some of these other races. The statewide races don't seem that interesting. The judges' races, Judge Gooch and Judge Browniak, tremendous jurists, probably be retained. I don't see any surprises in the congressional races. The only one that'd be close would be the second, Ray Hartman and Ann Wagner. Ray's going to have to come out of St. Louis County with a huge lead, though, to make up for Franklin and St. Charles.
Yeah, I think so. And I think part of Ray's whole campaign was banking on the idea that he had name recognition from television, but the numbers just aren't there for a Democrat in the 2nd District. And we've seen it in previous years, Scott.
And she's good.
Absolutely.
And knows how to get votes.
She's a politician.
Let's break this down here. The Missouri State Senate, it started off 24-10 last session. Tonight, you have 14 Republicans not on the ballot that are returning, 3 Democrats not on the ballot that are returning. But really, when we start looking at some of these races, we could probably start calling these any time.
Yeah.
It's pretty safe that you're going to have a 20-10 Missouri State Senate. At the worst, Republicans will have 20.
Yep.
At the worst, the Democrats have 10. Then you look at the 23rd, which is Eastern St. Charles County. Adam Schnelting. I don't think the Democrats got the candidate they really wanted, but that is a changing, trending district, and I think, there was some money spent there, but I think Schnelting should be fine, right?
It'll be a little bit more competitive than it might have been years ago. But you mentioned candidate recruitment. Democrats in the 23rd didn't get what they got in the 15th, for example.
Yeah.
And I know we'll talk about that race too.
Let's talk about it right now. David Gregory, Joe Peerless. I just looked at the St. Louis County election night reporting. Amendment 3 is 70-30.
Incredible.
In St. Louis County. Amongst those same voters, Gregory has about a 3-point lead over Joe Peerless, who was the Democrats' star recruit of the cycle. Yep. David Gregory, absolute Republican powerhouse in the making. I think if the Democrats, if you look at these races, look over to Clay County, probably the least suspense outside of St. Charles is in Clay. Maggie Nurnberg, terrific state legislator, was going to cruise into this seat. Then Jerry Nolte files.
Yep.
And I don't think he has to carry the same baggage as many Republicans. I think he's just Jerry, but still probably comes up short.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about the likelies, we're probably at 21-11. Then you've got the 15th, where I would say that there's a partisan advantage still for Gregory, but there was a ton of money put in for Peerless.
Yeah. And I brought, Scott, just to show folks, I had a chance to show this to you before we went on the air. I live in Chesterfield, the land that you call the land of cul-de-sacs and vinyl siding. And
I hope things turn around for you and you can move somewhere nice.
I got an entire stack of anti-David Gregory pieces in my mailbox, and I got 2 pieces from David Gregory. Now, there's always a mistake to take your own experience and try to extrapolate it to everybody else.
The graphic designer in these pieces, David's a handsome guy.
I know.
Those pictures, I'm like, oh.
I know, they muddied him up a little bit, but they left him a little bit bruised. And then you think of the fact that in the primary, voters like me also got a bunch of mail about David Gregory from his primary opponents. If the Peerless campaign loses tonight, it's not going to be from not running a smart campaign and a well-funded campaign. And if David Gregory beats the odds, he beat a whole lot of money and a heck of a Democratic effort.
So I actually think that's too close to call. I think we're going to have to watch for a while. I mean, I'm just looking here at the St. Louis County Election Board with 51-48. There is a Libertarian in there too. 10,300 early votes to 9,600 for Peerless. I think it's going to be so interesting. The most interesting precinct in every county this year is going to be the early vote.
Yeah.
That's going to be so interesting to see what party was motivated to do that and how do they manipulate that in the future. But let's talk about the Senate District 11. Joe Nicola, Robbie Sauls. Robbie Sauls, legislator Nicola. A little bit of an upset when Nicola won. I would say, if I had to guess, Gregory and Sauls might be up on an honest poll of Election Day, but there's momentum for Peerless and Nicola. Would you rather have a couple point advantage or the momentum?
I'd rather have the momentum. And
So too.
I think that, Nicola surprised everybody in beating a really good candidate in Aaron McMullen and also David Martin in that race as well. So, I don't know. I think both of them early are going to be too close to call, Scott.
Now we have the dean of the Missouri Republican Party, David Barklage, is joining us here on Election Night in Missouri. David, welcome to the show.
In Missouri. Do I look clueless enough?
And for the first time, David's talking and no one can hear.
Oh my gosh!
There he is, the dean of the Missouri Republican Party. Thank you for joining us here on Election Night in Missouri. So we've seen a few early results in. What are you seeing right now?
I think that, unfortunately, it looks nationally what I thought, and that is I think it's going to come down to Pennsylvania still. What we don't know is there have been Trumps that Philadelphia turned out heavy, others that Philadelphia didn't. The key is going to be Pennsylvania. I think we're at 52, maybe 53 in the Senate, U.S. Senate, and I think we hold the House. But in Missouri, I think what's unknown is what's going to happen in Amendment 3. And we saw heavy upswing in Callaway County. We saw a minor downswing in St. Louis County, and we saw a minor downswing in Boone County, but it's hard to know who's actually voting yet.
Well, looking at these early returns in Jackson County, Amendment 3, 60-40 in favor. St. Louis County had the early voting, and it was 70-30. If St. Louis County extrapolates into the city at 70-30, that's going to be a large margin to knock down.
It is. Look, I think I told you on the show a couple of weeks ago, I thought Amendment 3 would pass. But, look, Josh Hawley faced, an incredible wave in winning that election where the Democrat scored record votes in St. Louis and Kansas City, but Hawley scored equally of his percentage, and Mary's and Vernon and all these out counties finally came home to the Republicans. So I think the night is young. I don't change my predictions. I still sort of hold on them that I think Amendment 3 passes and Republicans sweep, and that Hawley, it's a lot closer for him versus any of the others.
David, you've run campaigns here in Missouri for decades, and it seems like with early voting, that old model of hitting your opponent the weekend before the election in the mailboxes and on TV has gone by the wayside thanks to early voting. What else can we see as a trend in campaigns because of the propensity of early voting?
I think look, Republicans didn't embrace motor voter, and it turned out to be very good for Republicans. Intuitively, um, I think that early voting favors Republicans because, I saw West County one time not get ballots delivered, and people were waiting 2 hours and left. And that was when Rick Stream lost a very narrow race for county executive. I think early voting actually favors working class, both labor, which is coming the Republican way, and and the working middle class. And so, I think in the long term, early voting is going to become good for Republicans, and in fact, probably actually helps Republican turnout more than Democrat turnout.
Dave, we have a race update here. There's now 60,000 votes are in State Senate District 15 are in. Gregory 50.31, Peerless 48.68 is 31,800 to 30,700. How many votes do you expect to be in that Senate District 15?
Boy, look, there has been incredibly heavy. If you looked at the vote map, very heavy voting there. And I think the jury's out. I am a Gregory fan, and I hope David Gregory does it. I think the Republicans need a senator in St. Louis. Lacking a senator in St. Louis will hurt the region. And I think Peerless being connected to Cori Bush is a big problem for him.
We're looking at some early vote here in Jackson County. You have John Patterson, the incumbent speaker, 50 to 49 over Kevin Grover, who's a good Democratic candidate in House District 30. You also flip it through here, looking at the state senate, the big state senate district in 11. Robert Sauls, 52-47 in the early voting over Joe Nicola.
Scott, I have got a incoming.
Oh no! All right. I guess maybe they finally got Barklage.
They finally
I didn't
got
know.
him. We've been waiting for it.
I didn't know if he'd be a jealous husband or Eric Greitens, but they finally got him. All right. That was David Barklage, the dean of the Missouri Republican Party. Let's walk through some of these races, and I think we're getting ready for our first call of the night. The Senate starts off, likely we're looking at 21 to 11.
Yep.
With two very close races. I mean, you don't get any closer than these two races in suburban. One suburban Kansas City. Of course, they would say they're independents. They're not suburban Kansas City. One's Chesterfield. That's just St. Louis. We don't give a damn what they think. What do you think it's going to be? The outcomes, I guess, we're looking at 21-11. Do you think? How do you think it pops out?
I mean, I think it looks like I would go with Nicola, and I was going to say Joe Peerless. I'm going to stick with that. I just don't know how David Gregory can outdo the mail and the help from the Missouri Chamber. I'd be happy to be wrong about that, though.
How about the Missouri Chamber being behind the Democrat with labor unions and the trial attorneys being behind David Gregory?
If you would have told a young Scott Faughn in 2002
we'd have laughed you
that
out.
the trial attorneys would be for the Republican and the chamber would be for a Democrat, we wouldn't believe you.
We have our first call of the night ready to go. We've seen enough in the Missouri governor's race. We can now project that Mike Kehoe will be the 58th governor of the great state of Missouri. Congratulations to Governor, now we can say Governor-elect Kehoe. I hate to say it, there was a lot more drama in the call that we did it back in August, but there is nobody that ever earned it more than Mike Kehoe.
And this race wasn't particularly close. It was over at the primary, and the coalition that he built in the primary was never going to be beat in the general.
And I think what we could do now is, as we look through the night, this becomes two things. This becomes one, obviously the folks at Kehoe's Victory Party up at Turkey Creek here in Jeff City are going to be excited. But now we look to see, does Crystal Quaid outpace Galloway? And I think probably the definition of did she have a good night or not, it would have been ridiculous to say she was going to win. No one could have defeated Mike Kehoe in Missouri with Trump on the ballot. Does she break that 40%? Does she outpace the Democrats from 4 years ago? If she does, I think you have a legitimate star that would be a leading candidate for a state senate race, would be the favorite if Donald Trump's in the White House, as many project that he will be. And I think you see, it reminds me of Jay Nixon running against Jack Danforth.
Absolutely. In 1988, all the good ones lose one big election. So you can look at Jay Nixon, you could look at Jim Talent in 2000, and they all come back. Now it remains to be seen.
Parson lost a leadership election.
Absolutely. That's a great example. And before long, he was governor. So we're not done with Crystal Quaid. We're not done with Crystal Quaid, and I think she'd be a fantastic candidate in that Senate 30 district, and it may be even sooner than we think, Scott.
As we clip through here, let's talk about these amendments as we see some of the results coming in here. Amendment 3 looks like, to me, the recipe for Amendment 3 was you go 60-40 in Kansas City, you go 70-30 in St. Louis, and then you don't care because it's just a statistical impossibility to make that up. It feels like that's what they're on the pace to do.
I think so, and what's going to be fascinating as we go through these results starting tomorrow is look at a district like David Gregory. Look at a spot like Wildwood or Chesterfield where David Gregory does well, and the number of people who vote yes on Amendment 3, but continue to vote for Republicans like Mike Kehoe, like the statewide ticket, like David Gregory. I think that was pretty common in West St. Louis County. Yep,
I think as we come through here, we're getting to see some of the results. We could probably begin to look to some of these statewide races. You're seeing Democrat, obviously they're going to win St. Louis County over the Republican slate, but they're not defeating them nearly where they would need to be to knock off anyone. No one's going to be surprised now as we start to call these races that they're generally Republicans are winning statewide.
Yeah, and the margins are just too big. There's really no path to victory. And Scott, you've had folks, including Jack Cardetti, sit right here at this table and talk about the fact we don't see a Democratic path to victory unless they fix that formula.
In fact, I think we could make some calls right now. We could call, the Missouri Times could project that United States Senator Josh Hawley will be reelected. He will retake his seat there alongside Eric Schmidt in the United States Senate. Not a big surprise, but again, I think the question tonight is going to be, when we're done counting, how tight did Kuntz make this?
Yeah, whether it's single digits or double digits. Lucas Kuntz had the best job in politics over the last year. He got to travel around the state of Missouri, make fun of Josh Hawley, spend other people's money, and actually shoot a reporter.
I thought really that was the best day of his campaign when he shot the reporter. Why didn't he go and say, damn right I did it, instead of putting a Band-Aid on it? I thought that was a little weird.
Yeah, I thought like apologizing for it was a little much, but it wasn't really a bullet, it was fragmentation. I learned that from one of his interviews.
Yeah, he should have just said I popped him. He asked me a jerk question. Like Trump said, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue. He could have shot somebody out in that field. Because it was a little weird that, like, why are you shooting metal like that close?
It's from that